Hi, once again. Welcome to TRT, as usual, the real talk. With me, as always,
Dr. Smakova
and Emmanuel Lama. And today we are continuing the conversation of expectations. If you have been following us, last week we were talking about me, us, the men. What do we expect when we move into the marriage? A bit of a background. We were saying, well, some expectations are known, while some of the expectations we get to discover them in the marriage when they are not being met.
and some we are still discovering up to now.
Yes. So, but there are those scores that we basically know on a personal basis that we began with, what expectations that you had, and then also a bit of the general expectations that
Yes.
Women have over husbands, wives have over husbands. So today she's on the spot. She's going to share with us,
The hot seat.
yes, what expectations that she had when she was entering into marriage. A bit of, I hope, let me not bias her, but I just hope I have been able to meet some. I clearly know there are many I haven't met, but I'm working on it. So yeah, let's dive in.
This will sound weird, but I think I didn't have expectations because from my background, I actually never used to think about marriage until you came in my life. So I didn't have dreams. I remember when we were going for our wedding and my matron was telling me, what is your dream? What is your dream color? Which cake do you want? I did not have an idea. I actually told her we can do black. And it was as simple as that. So I did not have dreams of getting married because after all in our family, no one I think had ever had a wedding apart from my father who wedded when I was in senior 6. So I had not dreamt about having a marriage, having a husband. I was enjoying my life as a single person.
Yeah.
But I think when we got to marriage, it's when now I started having expectations because finally I had someone in my life. And I think for me, one of the biggest expectations, unlike men where you find their first expectation is sex, mine was provision.
Yeah.
I grew up knowing that every man should be able to provide for the family. I remember in one of the sermons, our pastor saying that get married as long as you're able to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like one of the expectations I really expected from a husband. And then the other expectation, of course, was someone I can talk to, because me, I love talking.
Yeah.
People, I love talking. And I know you know that already. So I expected someone who talks, who communicates, we have conversation. So I think that expectation was weird in a way because I am an extrovert and my husband is an introvert.
Interesting.
Yeah. Is that true? Yes, that is true. So he's an introvert. And that was really one of the challenges we had in our marriage, where you would expect that your man will tell you what he's going through, but then my dear husband would never actually communicate. So you see years go by, he's handing. And then you're like, but okay, how are we paying rent? I'll take care of it. What are we eating tomorrow? I will handle. So for him, he was always in that handling mode until we actually started getting counseling and help and discussing with other friends, that he started knowing that it's very important to keep me in the loop. Loop, yes. To keep me in the know about what he was thinking about. He used to think alone, and it's very dangerous for a marriage. Yeah. Any questions so far? Any comments?
I'm just thinking, if I can go back a bit, there's that whole idea of you entering into marriage without really clear expectations.
Yeah.
And I think for me, part of how that is answered, even in knowing what expectations you have that are sort of like hidden, is what informed your choice for a husband? What did you base on to be able to say, okay, he's the one? Because in a way, I'm meeting your expectations. There's an angle of...
I think that is a very tough question to answer, considering that my reason was really stupid. And this was my reason, and I think I've shared with a few friends. One of the reasons really wasn't because you were very handsome, very tall, money. It wasn't any of that. But I had come from a background of struggle, hustle, no love. Like, I had never had someone tell me, I love you. I had never had someone really give me that nice hug. I had never had someone... You know, where you grow up and all the men you have around you are men who disrespect men, men who beat women, men who do things to women. And that's why I never used to think about marriage, because I didn't think I really needed marriage. But because of that, when we started relating, then I was like, if I am going to marry anyone, I need to have someone who is going to love me. And then I needed someone who will understand where I am coming from. I remember telling myself that if I am going to marry this guy, I shouldn't go to my village and I have to borrow chairs when he's coming to visit. I don't know if you remember that. If we are going to my grandfather's house, I don't have to borrow chairs. I don't have to borrow plates. Whatever that person finds in the house, you should be comfortable with it. And for me, that was like, when that happened, I remember at one time we went to visit my village in Kashenshero, in Ruhinda, in Chirera, Mitoma district. And you actually, my grandfather was seated down playing his, it's called Adungu, what? We call it Ndinjiri in our language. So he was playing his Ndinjiri and you came, you sat down with him. Like, that was the most humbling thing I watched. I've never told you. So get the chance to know. So for me, that was really it. I wanted that love that was, I don't know how to explain it, but I wanted someone to really love me, not because they have money and not because of anything, but I wanted the love. Like, sometimes people can't get it, that you can just want the love. So now we started dating and you're like, but you asked for love and love is here. Oh, money is not there. Then you find a way of balancing the boat. Where is the compromise? So, yes.
Great. So we do have back to the known expectations. So we do have provision, conversation. What else?
Love. And we are not talking about love of go to bed. We are talking about love of you treasure me. Like, I am your treasure. You don't look at me as property. You don't look at me as she's there, like that unconditional love where you don't care about where I have come from, but you treasure me for who I am now. You treasure the person you found then. Because I remember the first time we met in my dirty jeans, they're called what? Those cut jeans, I no longer put them on. And you were all smitten. I'm like, okay, what did he actually like about me? But for me, that was like love, where you just love the person, not because they have fake hips, not because I had makeup, because I never put on makeup. It was that natural attraction. And for me, that was very good for us.
Awesome. That's really interesting, because I think in a way, you basically go through sort of like the natural process of courtship and all these things that are happening, but then the other person is sort of like on the lookout, even like without your knowledge. But I had someone else, who said they were given counsel that to have a good marriage, have no expectations. And I love the way she shared when she said that was, in the beginning, that was very, very confusing for her. But the way she explained it, she said, so what the other person meant in that counsel was, okay, you've begun off the marriage, don't be over your head about looking to someone to fulfill your expectations.
I think it's coming from a place of when you focus on expectations, you get disappointed a lot because people are humans. So you think a man should be a provider, but he doesn't provide. Do I leave the marriage? No. You think a woman should give you sex every day, but I'm not giving you sex every day. So do we leave the marriage? So it's that, like, you're protecting yourself, but also not to put so much pressure on the other party, because you end up breaking the person, you end up hating one another just because you're not meeting each other's expectations. Does it hurt? Yes, it hurts. When I know that, for example, you're supposed to provide and the provision is not hurting in a bad way, but like I feel the pain, I feel the pinch, I feel he's not doing it. But at the end of the day, because there is no so much pressure, we exist and we still love each other.
So the irony bit in not having that pressure, for example, in regard to provision, how that helps, because most times people think, okay, if I don't go out of my way to demand that he meets my expectation, then my expectations die. But even in an example like provision, where if actually, even in my struggles in trying to provide, if I don't feel the pressure of you
expecting to provide,
not really expecting, but really that whole anger and disappointment and all that I haven't done that, it actually releases me to think more about provision. It's I see you as an encouragement instead of a deterrent. So there's a win-win situation in if you go out of your way to, you know, put your expectations down and then try to figure out. A general example for the men is that, man, we want cheerleaders. We want people who encourage us on. If many times, you know, when all of us are on a journey of discovery, but there is so much doubts and so much. So if someone is that you treasure, someone that you know loves you genuinely, someone that you know tells you the truth, encourages you on, there is power in that. So ideally, it's there is no loss in not pushing. For example, you to be on your case, be this bitter, be this unforgiving, be this angry, because you're not meeting my expectations. If I interest myself into putting in effort in trying to know, okay, what are her expectations and what can I do about them? At the end of the day, it also gives you room to be in a space and an emotional state and an energy that allows you to think about me. So it becomes a win-win situation.
And I want people watching us not to think that we are saying these things because we had it figured out. I remember, like, in 2015, things were really bad for us, where I expected and expectations were not being met. I got mad at him. And I remember that time I even went back to drinking. I was so mad. But when we learned the art of dealing with expectations, at that point, I think for us it was like an eye-opener. Like there was a blanket covering our eyes. And we started working on our relationship, and slowly by slowly we are getting here, we are getting better, we are improving every day, we are intentional about loving each other every day and working on it every day.
Great. So we have provision, we have conversation, we have love, affection ideally, that care. What else?
So the other one, of course, is protection or security. And protection, I want
being
to
an askari. What exactly do you mean?
Protection, I want to use the example of, for example, when you're dealing with I know we've had conversations around in-laws. So you find that, or friends, you find that when you go that side, there are things that you will not allow to be talked about me. There are things that they will not do as long as you're there about regarding my life or something.
So it's a combination of loyalty
and protection
and like looking out
for me. So for me that was very important. It's like I don't know, but it's that thing where I always know you have my back. I always know you have my back. Wherever I go, you will have. I've just remembered something. I remember when I was pregnant with my firstborn, and I would wake him up to escort me to go for a short call when I was pregnant in a self-contained house.
This is like, I don't know how, like really there. And then you're waking up from sleep. And for me, that was a very, very huge learning lesson. Because one of the ways...
It was baptism by fire.
And that spills into the whole expectations angle. Because for me, one of the most beautiful things that my father did was he respected like our sleeping time. He's the kind of guy who would come and make sure every window is closed. But you would see him walking silently, not to wake you up. Okay, so like sleep was sacred. When it's sleeping time, even on himself, he prefers silence, but he also gives that privacy. So then you move into marriage, and then I couldn't understand how someone can wake me up and then tell me to escort them to the toilet inside the house.
The bedroom.
Inside the house. So that took me, I don't know how long for that to sink in. It had to take me to the understanding of, okay, how can she do that? Because it's not rational. But then there's a whole element of, okay, a bad experience of, being in a house alone and all these things that, but that was really a huge trying moment for me.
So we can laugh about it now, but I remember then it wasn't funny. So I would wake him up. I want to go for a short call, and then he'll be like, what's wrong with you? And then somehow we would quarrel about it, but he would still escort me. So we've come from far.
So ideal expectations, there's a word I've been being corrected about. I think I say intrinsic. It's supposed to be intrinsic. Intrinsic. Okay. So it's ideal. Some are exclusive and known. Some are still being figured out. Some are general.
They're just in our brain.
So in a general sense, that's where you hear that men expect sexual intimacy in marriage. We expect respect being really that whole angle of being encouraged on and all that. So some are general, but also I want you to speak into that whole of where the expectations come from. Is every expectation healthy? Could there be unrealistic expectations? Could there be, what can I call it? Could there be borrowed expectations? Could there be ridiculous expectations? And for me, the most important point is how does that come in? Just like we said that most expectations are carved out from the environment we grow in. And I think that doesn't change. The environment we are in, you're speaking to that.
So I think it takes us back to knowing where are your expectations coming from. For example, like I said, I expected someone who would really love me for me, and that came from the environment I had come from, my family. So I wanted a man who would be really loving, not loving in words, but loving in action. And I think you have lived up to the expectation. Okay, I think. So you find that some of us have surrounded ourselves with different people that are shaping our expectations. You find that because, peer pressure. You find that because you have friends who lived in Bogolovi flats, they've never been in a taxi, they've never gone on a border, you also assume the man you're going to date must have a car to pick you up and drop you. I mean, when we started dating, I remember we would actually walk to Bahai for our picnics, and he would buy lollipops for me, man. Okay.
And chapati.
And chapati.
Picnic, and lay down the
expectations.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a question of where are your expectations coming from? Are you seeing how, for example, Zari, I shouldn't mention names, but how Zari is living and you want to be like the next Zari, where you have it all? Do you know where she's coming from? She's getting her things from? Is it about your friends? Is it social media generally? Because now we have expectations that are being shaped by social media. Because you've seen the other one married and was taken to Dubai for honeymoon. You also have that expectation of the man I get must take me to Dubai for honeymoon. Yet it's just pressure because we are coming from different backgrounds.
But then, does that mean then if for example, is it better then, because that someone might be up there thinking, okay, then it's better for me not to even discuss my expectations. Is that really what we are saying? Is it more cautionally to not say some expectations? How would you advise like someone who is not sure their expectations are?
I think we all have expectations. Like you said, they are intrinsic, they are there. But we need to stop thinking small. Because, for example, you want a guy with a car, but he will have dropped you, or you will have wedded today, and then the next day he will get involved in an accident and the car is no more. So we need to be able to think big. Like there are those things you can say, this guy will give me joy at my 60 years. And for me, that is something that I even thought about, even in not having expectations. Because I've always told myself, I want to be an old grandmama, happy grandmama, where I am 60 and I still have my face, I'm still okay. I remember at one point we were talking about how you were imitating how I would be calling you, Mila, bring me my Bible, and I don't have teeth. So you can't do that if you haven't had the long-term vision of where will we be in 50 years or 20, 30 years from now? So we need to stop that thinking small of car, this, money.
Also, I think it's the expectation can say, because most times what I've seen, it's also like the element of for example, even because no one wants to get married to a broke guy.
Yeah,
that's for a fact. But then in what have you really? Do you have whatever parameters that can inform you that this? He might not be there yet, but he has the potential to actually lead you there. So you can miss a very potential person. Yes, he doesn't have it figured out. He doesn't have the car yet. He doesn't have the home yet. But but this is a focused guy. This is someone who is focused. But also on the other hand, I think for me, even when the expectations are not realistic, it's better to have the conversation now. They get debunked if they are unrealistic, or you see where you stand, other than then having this whole dying inside idea. You're mad that the expectations are not being met, but they are not even actually known.
They are not known.
The guy doesn't
and that's
know
why
that.
I usually tell ladies that for me, I will love me the way I want you to love me. I will do things for me, like when I buy for myself cake, you will know that I want cake on my birthday. So there are things you have to start doing.
Meet them, do them.
Then he will learn. He will learn that is what you like. For example, one of the things that we really used to fight about is that, have you called your parents? Have you called my parents? Because me, I'm a family person. I want connection. And then you would find that we are fighting about it. And then because it's where you have come from. So it's that thing of discuss it. I remember when I told you, then now you would start scheduling. I need to call Mr. Magoba. I mean, I had to talk about it. It was killing me that I have a husband who doesn't call my father regularly. So it's for talking. There is no harm in knowing that I have communicated. If it's not being met, well and good.
Yeah.
There is room for.
And at the end of the day, even expectations are different. I
Yes.
think for everyone, people are different. They've been raised in different environments. But I think for us, even in sharing this, our intention is, yes, we do get to stir up these conversations, but also the reflection of someone actually asking themselves, what are my expectations? What is informing my expectations?
Yeah.
Am I meeting my expectations in this person? Are they realistic? Are they bored? Are they... So whereby you get to find someone that really meets your core expectations, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
What you're calling long term, what you're calling big, not momental expectations. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much for your support and love. Remember, you can always reach out to us on 0782193448 for any feedback, for any questions, for any support. We are here for any partnership. Just call that number. Thanks to the teams behind the camera. We thank you and we pray that God will bless you. Remember to hit the subscribe button on T-Soul Hub and the Real Talk Uganda. God bless you.
See you next time.